Everybody, welcome back to another episode of Shifty's 49ers Talk. In this video, we're going to recap. I'm going to give you my thoughts on the 49ers 13-0 win over the New Orleans Saints. There's a lot to talk about in this video, so without any further ado, let's jump right in. The 49ers pitched their first shutout since 2019, and actually the first time the Saints have been shut out since 2001. Back then, who shut them out in 2001? The 49ers. So really long time coming, we were able to shut them out again, and wow, what a performance by the defense. But first off, let's talk about the offense. So when we start with the offense, we'll start with the quarterback, Jimmy Garoppolo. Overall, I thought his game was okay today, quite pedestrian, and honestly, from the get-go, from very early on in this game, I just had a feeling that it was going to be tough sledding all day long from the 49ers offense against the Saints defense. And that Saints defense is pretty darn good. And let's keep in mind, they just got back a number of key players, Cameron Jordan, Marcus Davenport. They have a lot of talented players all over the defense, and they're well coached by Dennis Allen. So we had to kind of go into the game, and even Shanahan himself said it, that we knew it was going to be a dogfight. It was going to be really tough sledding all game long. But let's get back to Jimmy Garoppolo. I thought he played okay. Made some nice throws, especially in some key third down situations, but really struggled. Pass protection wasn't great, and we'll talk about that. Really had to get the ball out very quick, and actually made some super impressive plays doing that, but just didn't seem as confident in himself as we'd seen, let's say, last week against the Arizona Cardinals. He did have an interception that was actually eventually called off because there was a defensive holding. Don't know about that call against the Saints. I'm sure Saints fans, of course, are probably upset about that, but Jimmy really got away with one there, and it was a bad throw. One of those just Jimmy throws that you remember against the Cowboys in the playoffs, against the Packers in the playoffs last year. Just one of those throws you can't make, and he made it. But luckily, we really got away with one right there. Outside of that, though, I thought, again, okay game. Nothing super impressive. Really just low-risk passes. But overall, Jimmy, I thought he was solid. Now, one of the things, too, which really allows Jimmy to have a better game, and just for the offense to operate more smoothly, is when the run game going. And the run game was really struggling all day long. I thought the run game wasn't super creative. I thought we could have done a lot of more different things. You look at Elijah Mitchell, had some okay runs, some tough sledding also up the middle. McCaffrey, really tough day running the ball. It was actually later in the game, Jordan Mason came in and kind of provided a spark at running back. So that was really good to see. And with Elijah Mitchell picking up an injury that may sideline him for a couple of weeks, expect to see a lot more Jordan Mason coming up when we have these big games against the Dolphins, Buccaneers, and then the Seahawks coming up in the next 3 weeks. But overall, offense, I thought it was okay. But when you only put up 13 points, and looking at it too, the offensive line, thought Williams played pretty solid. Bangs did his thing. Right side definitely struggled. Spencer Burford also picking up an injury in this game. Nothing too serious, and maybe we'll sideline him a week or two, if that. But overall, the right side of the offensive line, McGlinchey, bad holding against him. George Kittle, bad holding call against him as well. And you could argue whether they were or they weren't, but at the end of the day, they made the plays, and it just wasn't good enough. Jimmy under duress all game long, took some really bad hits from the Saints defenders. Even there was a roughing the passer call, which was roughing the passer. He basically almost took out his knee, so crazy to think about that. But let's now circle back when we look at the offense, the receivers. Brandon Ayuk is absolutely showing why he's wide receiver number one. Excellent routes, getting open, making plays. Juwan Jennings, great game against the Saints. That really excellent focus, concentration at the end of the half to reel in that touchdown. Also, some key catches on third down, really just making the plays that we saw him do all of last season. Third downs, red zone. Love to see that version of Juwan coming back out, and really fired up too, which is awesome to see. He is a really passionate player, so I love seeing that fire. Debo, thought he was okay. We really didn't get the ball in his hands all that much. He did have a really nice run that was negated by a Mike McGlinchey penalty, but outside of that, Debo He's going to have his crazy good games like we saw against the Rams. Then he's going to have some more quiet games. But this still, and you see it game in, game out, the amount of focus and attention the defense has put on Debo, it really helps open up other things. So even if he's not lining up, statistically in the box score, I do think that Debo has a huge impact on the game. Offensively, though, if I had to give it a rating, I'd say maybe a C performance. Some of that was self-inflicted wounds. Some of that was just poor play. A lot of that also was just credit to the Saints defense. They played really, really well. Now, coming up next in this video, we're going to talk about the 49ers defense, and there's a lot of stuff in here which is going to be fun to talk about. The 49ers pitched their first shutout defensively since the 2019 season, and really the defense was just so impressive. When you look at the Saints early in the game, I believe it was their first drive, Fred Warner making big-time plays, and we're going to talk about Fred because he was phenomenal against the Saints. Absolutely amazing performance, forced the fumble, and then Greenlaw comes up with a great start to the game. And also, throughout just the entire game, the defense just played really, really good, disciplined football. Now, of course, like what's going to happen in every single game, the offense is going to grab some, receptions, have some decent runs. But what was just so impressive to me defensively is the fact that the Saints had good field position multiple times, and the 49ers were able to make key plays just to shut them down. Whether it was, in the third quarter, I believe, they had a chance to kick a field goal. We get a big-time play to push them back a few yards. They have a false start. They miss the field goal. Of course, you look at the fumble forced by Talanoa Hufanga that was then recovered by the 49ers right inside the 1 or 2 yard line. That was awesome to see. And overall, we just played sound fundamental defense. Never gave up the big play. Something that really impressed me, and it was a concern going into this game, was Taysom Hill. You never know if he's going to run the ball, if he's going to pass the ball, if he's going to split out wide and catch the ball, but we shut him down. He could do nothing. Not only that, we shut down Alvin Kamara as well. So hats off to the 49ers defense, pitching a shutout. D'Amico Ryans called a great game. The players played really, really well. I thought Jimmy Ward could have played a little bit better, sometimes got beat pretty badly by Chris Olave, but we seen Chris Olave showing that he is the #1 rookie wide receiver so far in that class, and he's playing really well. Really good player. Saints got to be excited about him. Now, at the end of the day, I thought the linebackers played really, really well. If I do have to pick one concern with the 49ers, and kind of what I've seen, it's a little bit of a trend now, we're just struggling to get any kind of consistent pressure. Now, when you have like an Andy Dalton back there who doesn't have many weapons to throw to, or if it's Taysom Hill, you're going to be able to make plays and still get away with that. But when you go up against the elite offenses, and even next week against Tua, if he has all day back there to throw, that's not going to really mean good things at all for the 49ers defense. I really want to see, and look, they had some solid plays. I thought Ebukam played okay. Bosa played pretty well. He did really well in the run game, actually, Nick Bosa. But I think the key thing for the 49ers defense is getting Eric Armstead back. And I really hope that he'll be back when we go up against the Dolphins, because we're going to need him. He's a fantastic player. The interior of the defensive line, I thought, played really well against the run. In the passing, though, Dalton was able to sit in the pocket a lot of times, make his reads, and had some decent throws. But at the end of the day, look, you have to talk about the 49ers defense was just outrageously good. You pitch a shutout. The 49ers defense hasn't given up a single point over the last 6.5 quarters. We haven't given up a point the last 4 games. We haven't given up a single point in the second half. Crazy numbers. And Fred Warner, I really want to put the spotlight on Fred Warner, because for any of you guys who've seen my videos consistently, I think you probably know that I've been pretty harsh on Fred Warner. He's not making enough plays. He's not doing enough this. He was phenomenal. Phenomenal. That forced fumble, great. That was vintage Fred Warner. That's what you want to see. He's flying around in coverage, flying around, stopping Taysom Hill. He was brought on a blitz and immediately forced a bad pass from Dalton that ended up being incomplete. Fred Warner all over the place. He is playing maybe some of his best football, and we really need it. Also, it's so fantastic to have guys like Greenlaw, Alshire right there too, being able to clean up the stuff that Fred can't get to. And the 49ers really just, that was a 49er game, you knew it was going to be a slugfest, but look, we had more yards than the Saints. We had more time of possession than the Saints. We forced turnovers against the Saints. We didn't actually turn the ball over at all, which was really, really good for the 49ers. And coming away with just an ugly win, but this game kind of had reminded me back in 2019, if you remember, Niners have a big win, and then week after, they lose at home to the Falcons, who were not good that year. This game kind of was giving me, was reminding me of that, but the 49ers able to dig out the win. It wasn't always pretty, ugly in fact for most of the game, but really happy the 49ers get another win, and with the Seahawks loss against the Raiders, we have a clear 1-game lead, an almost 2-game lead over the Seahawks when you factor in our division record. So good things are happening right now for the 49ers. I can't complain too much. We do have a big test this coming Sunday against the Miami Dolphins. And just so you guys know, I will be streaming that game. On Sunday, I will be back in San Francisco. That's going to be a whole lot of fun because I really missed it. But thank you very much, everyone, for watching this video. Really appreciate all of you guys, for checking out the videos. And I know it's been a lot less in terms of video, quantity lately, just because I've been traveling. But really appreciate all of you for checking out the videos, supporting the channel. If you like the content, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Feel free to share it as well. I always love when I see people sharing it on social media. And guys, I'm going to say 2 things right now. The butt counts. I'm going to catch you guys on the flip side.